Now, let us welcome Ambassador岡田健一, Consul General of Japan, to deliver an opening remarks.
Dear media friends from Hong Kong press and Japanese press and third country press, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to attend today's briefing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. As you may know, the Japanese government in year 2021 announced the basic policy on the handling of the out-of-treated water. And since then, we have offered 3 times of opportunity for media friends in Hong Kong to explain what we are doing. And today's opportunity is the 4th opportunity. So once again, thank you so much for attending today's briefing. And please allow me to sit and continue the briefing for you. First of all, for the food products, while we have provided so many times information and explanation about the safety of Japanese food products, calling for the early removal of existing restrictions on Japanese food products by Hong Kong governments, we have also provided in detailed explanation about the Japanese government efforts to achieve the safe discharge of treated water. And moreover, in order to exclude any complacency, Japanese government has invited the IAEA, which has the authority to set up and apply the safety international standard. So, as you know, in July this year, in its comprehensive report, the IAEA concluded that the discharge of out-treated water is consistent with relevant international safety standards, and the impact on human body and the environment is negligible. This is the conclusion by IAEA, and we have explained this to Hong Kong friends, Hong Kong people, as well as Hong Kong government. But as you know well, very unfortunately, the Hong Kong government has banned the imports of Japanese food products, aquatic products from 10 prefectures of Japan since August. It's extremely regrettable. As you know, all around the world, there are about 200 countries. And now, China, Hong Kong, Macau, and only a few more countries like Russia and North Korea criticize that the out-treated water is dangerous. But I think we should note that in the same period, this summer, when we discharged the water, 31 countries, including 27 EU countries, has removed their existing imports ban on Japanese food products. This is a very important development. And furthermore, as you may note, October 28th and 29th, which means last week, the G7 trade ministers meeting was held, and in that meeting, the Japanese government reiterated the need for the calm response with regards to the discharge of out-treated waters. And other countries understand and supported the Japanese government standpoint. And as you know, the G7 trade minister's statement reaffirmed the importance of the import restrictions being science-based and only applied in accordance with WTO and other international rules. It also called for the immediate repeal of any such import restrictions that is unnecessarily restricting the trade, including the newly introduced import ban on Japanese food products. Ladies and gentlemen, last week in the Victoria Park, last weekend in Victoria Park, 28th, 29th, there was a festival called Let's Dance for Autumn Festival. This event was organized by Hong Kong Japanese Restaurant Association, and more than 10,000 Hong Kong people participated. So I was very much pleased to see so many Hong Kong people enjoying Japanese culture as well as Japanese food. That was a fantastic atmosphere. And I was really happy to see so many long lines, long queues in front of Japanese food booths on that day. So that's a really encouraging development. But at the same time, we have learned that some portion of Hong Kong people are still worried about the safety of the Japanese food products as a result of the discharge of the Alps treated water into the sea. So we have decided today to take this opportunity to offer you the highly transparent, scientifically based, and most accurate information on the latest development on the Alps treated water. In particular, the monitoring regime and the figures and data after the discharge and the involvement of the IAEA. And today we have Mr. Takabatake Masaki, who is the special supervisor of the decommissioning and water treatment of Fukushima Reconstruction Promotion Group of the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry from Japan. Actually, he has just arrived in Hong Kong airport and he came directly from the Hong Kong airport to the consulate. So welcome, Mr. Takabatake. And of course, at the same time, we also have lots of senior officials from various agencies and ministries of the Japanese government, including Deputy Director General Mr. Michino of Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery. And moreover, we have two more professors today. Professor Jerry Thomas, the Imperial College of London, and Professor Hibiki Takashi, who is sitting next to me, chair professor at the City University of Hong Kong. They will make a comment on Japanese government's efforts. Now, before we go into the detailed explanation by experts, I would first like to give you an overview of the monitoring regime. For the monitoring regime, the Japanese government has set up a multi-layered system with the involvement of IAEA. For monitoring, the Japanese government, Fukushima Prefecture, and the Tokyo Electric Power Company, TEPCO, conduct the monitoring. Then, the IAEA, in cooperation with third country analytical institutions, objectively confirmed the analytical capability of Japanese government and the TEPCO, as well as the reliability of data and figures. I will be more specific about this monitoring. As you know, there are three stages, which is before the dilution, and after the dilution, but before the discharge, and finally, after the discharge. So let me talk one by one. First, for the monitoring of Alps treated water in the tank prior to the discharge, already 3 times measurement was done, because we have already dispatched twice 2 batches of unrestricted water already, and the third batches of unrestricted water will be released very soon, November 2nd. So we have done 3 times of measurement of the unrestricted water before the dilution. And as you know, 3 entities has participated in this measurement. Number 1, TEPCO. Number 2, the third-party institution commissioned by TEPCO. And number 3, another third-party institutions based on the basic policy of the Japanese government. So 3 entities has participated in this measurement. And they have looked at 3 categories of nuclides. Number 1, of course, tritium. And number 2, 29 radionuclides, which is defined by the Nuclear Regulatory Agency of the Japanese government based on IAEA review. And number 3 is the 39 more radionuclides, for which Japanese government decided to do the monitoring voluntarily. So altogether, 69 radionuclides were monitored and measured. And as a result, is 68 radionuclides, except tritium, were confirmed to meet the criteria for discharge. And all those, I think, data are already made public. And so how about the IAEA's role? IAEA has also conducted 3 times of measurement for the unrestricted water in the tank before the dilution. First batches, second batches, and third batches. Although the result of the analysis of the water for the third batches has not yet come out, but the IAEA has already concluded based on the analysis for 2 times, saying that the analysis by TEPCO and analysis by IAEA in terms of tritium concentration agreed with the high level of confidence. And at the same time, IAEA also said IAEA did not detect any other radionuclides in a significant quantities. So there is no surprise at all. So this is the first stage. So next one is the after dilution but before heat discharge. So TEPCO has already measured twice the diluted unrestricted water in the tank before the discharge. And they confirm that the unrestricted water is sufficiently diluted. And then IAEA also confirmed that tritium concentration is well below 1,500 becquerel per liter. And these, I think, data figures are also made public already. And actually for the third batches, I think today TEPCO is now collecting the unrestricted water, diluted unrestricted water for the third batches of discharge. And I think they will make public of the result of the analysis as soon as it is finalized. So this is the second stage. And finally, the third stage. For the third stage, Japanese government and the Fukushima Prefecture and TEPCO is monitoring the seawater as well as fishery products from Fukushima prefectures. And there has been no surprise at all. It is confirmed that the discharge is being carried out as was planned, and there is no safety issues at all. Then the IAEA. For the IAEA, experts from IAEA and third country analytical institutions visited Japan from 16th October to 23rd October. And they have conducted the seawater sampling and the fishery product sampling as well. And IAEA also sent another delegation, which is a IAEA task force, which is comprised of experts from 11 countries, including China. And this delegation visited Japan and conducted a 6th review of what Japanese government is doing, and they have confirmed that between Japan, TEPCO, and IAEA, that everything is going very smoothly as planned. And sorry, I need to add one more thing. For the experts who visited Japan from 16th to 23rd, Chinese analytical institution is also included. So for experts, Chinese are included, and for the task force visit, which happened after 24th, is also including the Chinese experts. So there are lots of Chinese improvements already. And as you know, the IAEA has already announced that they will establish a permanent office at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station with their staff permanently stationed there. And IAEA Director General, Mr. Grossi, said the IAEA will remain there until the last drop of Arab-treated water has been released safely. And IAEA will continue to offer the real-time data for monitoring for you. And as you may know, IAEA is really committed to the long-term involvement of this operation during and after the discharge of water. And very recently, on September 18th, Japanese government and IAEA have signed a memorandum of cooperation. So as you can see, we have a multi-layered system where Japanese government takes the lead for the monitoring, and then IAEA confirmed the result. And I hope this multi-layered system will make sure the objectivity and transparency of the monitoring for all those Arab-treated water. Dear media friends, now I'd like to request your assistance, because you have a great deal of influence on every sectors of Hong Kong and every corners of Hong Kong. You can eliminate or slash or attenuate the concern or misunderstanding by Hong Kong people about the safety of Arab-treated water. So if you can report what we are going to explain today to Hong Kong people, I hope Hong Kong people can continue to eat Japanese food, and they can continue to enjoy Japanese restaurant with the peace of mind. So I really request your kind support on this part. And after the explanation by experts, we will answer your questions. First for prepared question, then for the free question and answer. So please stay with us for the remainder of the briefing. And we will continue to improve our explanation and our materials for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Professor Thomas. Let me invite Mr. Hasegawa from Fishery Agency to give us additional information about fishery products monitoring.
Thank you. Fishery Agency would like to tell you one more. We will update the results of both methods quickly on our website in simplified and traditional Chinese, English, and Korean in addition to Japanese. This time is over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next speaker is actually me. So Today's my presentation is basically based on this one, most of it. Okay? Then I'm going to give you the 5 tips to understand diluted, adulterated water discharge into the sea better. Okay? So please go to the next slide. First, I'm going to explain the IAEA's commitment. Okay? 4 important, commitment. First of all, IAEA clearly stated that IAEA doesn't provide authorization for Japan to release the water into the ocean. IAEA clearly stated, because this is the role of Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority. So the NRA is responsible to say go or no go. Okay? So IAEA's role is to monitor whether the Japan government or Japan TEPCO is doing well or not. So this is a role of the IAEA. Then IAEA made an independent and a comprehensive assessment. Then they confirmed that plan to be in line with IAEA safety standards. Okay? And 4 days ago, according to the press release from the IAEA, IAEA said that discharge of treated water from Japan's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station is progressing as planned and without any technical concerns. This is a press release from the IAEA 4 days ago. Okay? Then, actually, this slide shows that IAEA staff actually went to the sea and a fishery market and also like a beach to collect the sample. So they already done this sampling about 10 days ago. Okay? Please go to the next slide. So Mr. Takabatake mentioned that transboundary impacts are therefore negligible. Okay? So this means that Fukushima Daiichi released radioactive material into the ocean, right? So our concern is, does this radioactive material reach Hong Kong or not? Okay? When I talked to my friend who is currently the president of Korean Nuclear Society, then he sent me an email like this. And also, he provided me this figures. Then horizontal axis is the year, and the vertical axis is basically concentrations of radioactive nuclide. Then red one is cesium, blue one is tritium, dark green is plutonium, and light green is strontium. So actually, he said, Korean regulatory body has been sampling seawater at 40 different locations around Korea and measuring the radioactive concentration. Even though large contaminated water had been released during the Fukushima accident in 2011, nothing was measured. This is a strong evidence for the negligible impact. So this means that actually the 2011, due to the Fukushima accident, some amount of the radioactive materials is already released. This amount is much, much larger than the current treatment water discharge. But still, this radioactive material never reached the Korea. Same thing to the Hong Kong. Then Hong Kong people do not need to worry about transboundary impact from this arbitrated water release. Then third one, please go to the next slide. So this slide explains the method and amount. Okay? So some people argue that why arbitrated water release into the ocean? What about release into the sky? Or why don't we keep tritium in underground? Okay? So one important thing is, actually the nuclear industry doesn't like new technology. Also, nuclear industry really care about track record. So for example here, I listed 5 methodology. Okay? Discharge into the sea has a long track record because Fukushima Daiichi Power Station started operation 50 years ago. Since then, they continuously release the treating water into the ocean, more than 40 years. Then long track record. Okay? So that TEPCO knows how to release the tritium into the ocean. So this means that this is not like a new technology, already proven technology. That is a strong reason why we rely on arbitrated water release into the ocean. Second thing is why 22 terabecquerel per year? Okay, so the TEPCO is going to release the that annual tritium discharge limit is 22 terabecquerel per year. Is this a big or small? Actually, this 22 terabecquerel per year is equivalent to the pre-accident discharge limit at the Fukushima Daiichi. So before Fukushima Daiichi accident, TEPCO already have experience to release the tritium with 22 terabecquerel per year. So this is nothing new. In addition to this, 22 terabecquerel correspond to the 1 over 90,000 of the global inventory of tritium. So this means that in our, Earth already has more than 90,000 times larger than 22 terabecquerel. So this means that 22 becquerel released to the ocean, but this is a negligible amount. Then also 22 terabecquerel correspond to the 5,000 times lower than the annual production on the planet due to the natural process. And as you know, the half-life. Then tritium half-life is 12 years. So after 12 years, this tritium amount become half. Okay? Please go to the next slide. Reliability of engineering systems. Success of the arbitrated water into the ocean depend on the integrity, reliability of the engineering systems, right? So there are basically 2 major engineering facility exist. First one is the ARBUS system, right? ARBUS system is very important because we need to purify the contaminated water, right? Second one is discharging system. So let's talk about ARBUS system. Okay? So IAEA report actually doesn't care about efficiency because this IAEA report doesn't care about efficiency of the ARBUS system because the control for the system is not on the performance of the ARBUS process, but rather a 100% verification of all batches prior to their discharge. So this means, just in case, even if ARBUS system didn't work, but before discharging, TEPCO or IAEA measure the actual radioactive concentration. That's the reason control for the system is not on the performance of the ARBUS system because they perform the actual measurement, 100% verification. Second thing is, this discharging system, okay? So that this IAEA report already discussed about the accident. If accident happen in this discharging system, what did happen? For example, Tokyo Electric Power Company assumed worst case accident. So this means that there was a catastrophic and immediate rupture of all tanks in the measurement and the confirmation facility, which resulted in all of the treated water being discharged directly into the sea without any further dilution. This means that those tanks suddenly ruptured, broken. Then ARBUS water is going to dump into the ocean. Then what will happen? Still resulting potential dose are more than a factor of 100 lower than the recommended criterion set by NRA. So even if some accident, tedious accident happen, all tanks broken completely, still impact to the environment is very, very less than 100 factor. The last one, last slide. Okay, then some people were confused. What's the difference between wastewater release from normal reactor or, from the damaged reactor, like a Fukushima case? According to the international safety standards, the margin of safety is evaluated based on the sum of the effects of all radioactive materials in the water, regardless of the type of radioactive material. This concept applies equally to both accidental and the conventional reactors. This means that normal reactor, accident reactor, it doesn't matter. Matter is how much radioactive material exists wastewater. This is a safety standard. And also this side, you can see this. I took this sentence from this journal article presented in Science. Professor Thomas also referred this journal. Let me read it. In this regard, the Fukushima release is no different from routine release from other nuclear sites around the world. For example, in 2019, the Sellafield nuclear site in the UK discharged 19 times more tritium water, 1,600 times more carbon-14, 320 times more cobalt-60, 180 times more iodine-129, and over 1,000 times more strontium, cesium, and plutonium isotopes than is planned annually for the Fukushima release. So some people worry about what about we understand the tritium. What about cesium? What about the plutonium? Actually, Sellafield nuclear site in the UK already released much more than that, but there's still no health, hazard is reported. Thank you very much. So let's go to the Q&A session. Regarding to the testing of nuclear contaminated water, China has always been demanding the establishment of a long-term and effective international monitoring scheme with full participation from all concerned parties. Does Japan have any arrangement in this regard? Is Japan considering to allow foreign organizations or experts to operate in the water releasing area to monitor sampling and testing independently?
はい、これもご質問ありがとうございます。ご質問にお答えする前に一つ、確認があります。
Yes, thank you for the question. Before I answer the question, I'd like to confirm one thing.
ご質問の中にですね、核汚染水、ニュークリアコンタミネーテッドウォーターとの発言がありましたけれども、福島第一原発から放出されているアルプス処理水は先ほど来から高畑特別対策官を含め多くの方が何度も説明申し上げていますように、これは十分に浄化されたアルプス処理水、これをさらに希釈して放射性物質のですね濃度を規制基準を大幅に下回るレベルの水になっています。この点について、まず申し上げたいと思います。
So, you have in your question used the word nuclear contaminated water. However, the water to be discharged is, as Mr. Takabatake and others have explained, it is a water that is far below the regulation standard of the radioactive concentration level, and that is diluted, that has diluted the ALPS treated water, which is already efficiently diluted and purified.
したがって放出されるアルプス処理水を核汚染水ニュークリアコンタミネーテッドウォーターとする発言は科学的根拠に基づいておらず大きな誤り であります。で IAEA もですね、公衆、普通の人々、市民の皆さんの混乱を避けるためには、用語の理解が重要であり、用語を区別すべきというふうに指摘しています。そして日本政府は国際基準に基づくですね、安全基準を満たさない水が海洋に出るということは断じて認めることはありません。
Using the phrase nuclear contaminated water for discharged out-treated water, therefore, is not based on scientific evidence and is greatly incorrect. The IAEA too has pointed out that in order to avoid public confusion, there must be a proper understanding of the terminology and that there is a need to distinguish these terms. The government of Japan will never allow the discharges of water into the sea if the water does not meet regulatory standards, which are based on international standards.
さて、ここからご質問にお答えしますけれども、日本政府はこれまでもですね、中国政府に対してこの問題に対する理解が深まるようにさまざまな情報、科学的根拠の提供に努めてきております。具体的データ、数字、こういったものを含めた説明を行ってきておりますし、あるいは、原子力の専門家同士のですね、個別の説明の機会ということについても、日本側から中国側に提案をしてきております。
Now, to answer your question, the Japanese government has explained the position of Japan with high transparency regarding the out-treated water sea discharge. And we have made efforts to deepen the understanding, and we have provided specific data and statistics in our explanation. And we have made a proposal to the Chinese government for an occasion to let the nuclear experts meet on their own.
そして、先ほど来ご説明申し上げているように、アルプス処理水のモニタリングにつきましては、IAEA の枠組みの下でですね、第三国の分析研究機関が、これが IAEA に選ばれて、これによって、モニタリングが行われてきております。
And as I have been explaining, as for the out-treated water monitoring, it's been conducted under the IAEA review framework, and the third party, the laboratories which are selected by IAEA has conducted the comparative evaluation of the monitoring that is conducted by Japanese government and by TEPCO.
そして先ほど私の冒頭のご説明で申し上げました通り、10月の16日から23日まで IA のエキスパートとそれと第三国の研究機関、ここには中国も含まれる、中国の研究機関も含まれますけれども、この人たちが今月中旬ですね、先ほど申し上げた16から23日に海洋モニタリングが行われています。
And as I explained in my opening speech, from October 16th to October 23rd, the 2023 fiscal year ocean monitoring had been conducted, and that is conducted by experts, including and also a third country or third party laboratories, including that of China.
先ほど申し上げた通り、この時は海水、それから水産物のサンプリングが行われたということであります。ここには繰り返しになりますけれども、中国を含む第三国の分析研究機関も参加していました。
And at that monitoring, a sampling of seawater as well as maritime products were monitored, And as I repeat myself, it was participated by third country laboratories, including China.
改めて申し上げますと、日本政府としてはですね、引き続き中国政府に対してもですね、科学的根拠に基づく対応を取るように粘り強く働きかけていくつもりであります。
So, as a government, we will tenaciously urge the Chinese side to take measures that is based on scientific rationale.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the question 3. Industry and the economic loss caused by Hong Kong and China's restriction on Japanese food products. Can Japan provide any relative figures?
はい。2022年の中国、香港への水産物の輸出実績は、1334億円であり、水産物輸出額の全体のですね、3873億円の 34% を占めています。
Yes. The actual export of Japanese maritime products to China and Hong Kong in 2022 was 133.4 billion yen, and this is about 34% of our overall export value, which is 387.3 billion yen.
日本から中国への輸出額は836億円、香港へは498億円という数字になっています。
And the export from Japan to China is 83.6 billion yen. To Hong Kong, it's 49.8 billion yen.
現時点でですね、公表されている最新の日本側の統計では、8月の輸出額が明らかになっています。
And at present, the oldest export value is now clear from Japan statistics.
で、8月の中国向けの輸出額は 36% 減となっています。
And Japan's export to China have decreased by 36%.
それから、これは輸出額、総輸出額、食品の総輸出額。
So that is the total value of food export to China.
それから香港向けについてはですね、先ほど大使から微増という説明がありましたが、一部の水産物に関してはですね、大きく減っているものがあって、深刻な影響が出ているというふうに受け止めています。
And the Consul General explained that there was a slight increase in maritime export. However, in September, for some of the maritime products have decreased hugely, and it has caused a serious impact.
以上です。
That's all from myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was the last question submitted in advance. Next, we invite journalists joining us today to ask any questions. Please ask your question in English consistently. Also, please mention your organization name when you ask the question. Please raise your hand if you have a question. Our staff will pass you a microphone. Please.
Hi, I'm from the South China Morning Post. So I have two questions. The first one is, what does the Japan side think is the criteria for the Hong Kong government to remove the ban, and has this been discussed in any of your meetings? And the second one is about an accident a few days ago where a few workers were exposed to the radioactive wastewater at the plant itself, and how can TAPCO convince the international audience that of the reputation and reliability, seeing that this process is going to be going on for 30 years? Thank you.
はい、2つ質問があります。1つ目は、香港がこういった輸入規制というのを撤廃すると日本側は思っているでしょうか。このことについては香港側と議論をしているのでしょうか。 もう一つの質問は、数日前、TEPCO の、作業員が、この放射性の排水に暴露されたというニュースがありましたが、こういったようなことですね、TEPCO はどのようにしてそういったことを防ぐというふうに、世論は説得できるんでしょうか。もうこういったことというのは過去30年起き続けているわけですが。
はい、じゃあ1つ目の質問についてお答えします。ご質問ありがとうございます。
Yes, thank you for your question. I will answer the first question.
香港政府とのやり取り、あるいは、現在の輸出禁止を終わるクライテリア、ご質問だったと思います。
Yes, you asked about communications or discussions with the Hong Kong government and also the criteria for lifting the import ban.
総領事館、日本政府は香港政府とこれまでも緊密に連携を取ってきておりですね、日本政府の立場としては即時の輸入規制の撤廃を求め続けており、今後も求め続けていくことになります。
Japanese government as well as the consulate general is in a close communications with the Hong Kong government. So we request immediate removal of the import ban, and we will continue to request it.
我々はこれまでも科学的根拠を高い透明性を持って具体的に香港側に説明をしてきていますけれども、引き続きこのような科学的根拠、そして揃ってきたデータ、こういったものを香港側に説明をして即時の撤廃を求めていくことになります。
And so we have been in the past explaining our position based on scientific evidence and with high transparency and various data. So we will continue to explain so, and also will continue to immediately remove the import ban.
2つ目の質問についてお答えします。
I will answer the second question.
10月25日に、東京電力福島第一原発の配管の洗浄作業中に、洗浄水が作業員に飛散する事案が出ました。
On October 25th, while a worker was washing the piping at the Fukushima Daiichi plant, he had the washing water used for washing the piping had actually splashed on the worker.
健康上の影響はないと聞いておりますが、経済産業省から東京電力に対して再発防止を徹底するとともに、作業員の安全も含めて廃炉作業における安全確保に万全を期して取り組みを指導しています。
And we hear that there is no impact or no effect on the workers' health. However, METI has urged the TEPCO to thoroughly implement the measures so that it will not occur again, and also to tackle with utmost effort to secure safety in the decommissioning work, including the safety of the worker.
引き続き政府として国際社会に対しても含めて透明性高く情報を発信していきたいと思っています。
So the government would like to communicate the situation with high transparency to the international society.
そうです。
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Please.
Hi, two questions from Main Power. The first one is about now that Japan finished 2 batches of water discharge and the Hong Kong government is still holding its restriction in Japanese food imports. Will Japan consider taking any stronger or even countermeasures if Hong Kong continues its restrictions, apart from just providing scientific discussions or evidence? What else Japan could do? The second question is about the import of maritime products. It was said that the import was actually increased in September, but certain products has decreased. Can you give us more figures to explain it? Thank you.
はい、2つ質問があります。1つ目は、日本が、海洋水を放出して中国は、輸入禁止措置を取り続けているわけですけれども、この何らかの強い、対抗措置を日本は取るというようなことを考えているんでしょうか。からまた科学的な根拠に基づいた情報などを中国側に提出しているそうですが、あるいは香港側に提出するそうですが、それ以外に何かできることはあるでしょうか。から2つ目ですが、9月の水産物の輸出は対前年で伸びたというような話がありましたが、しかし一方で、その輸出が減っているという話があったので、そこのところもう少し詳しく説明していただけますか。
はい、ご質問ありがとうございます。
Thank you for the question.
香港政府との関係につきましては、先ほども申し上げました通り、我々としては引き続き香港政府に対してですね、科学的根拠、そしてさまざまなデータをですね、提供して、一日も早い輸入規制の撤廃を求めていくつもりであります。
As to the relation with the Hong Kong government, we will continue to provide scientific evidence and data and to request for a removal of the import ban as soon as possible.
それ以外に、
すみません、いいです。
それ以外にできることといえば、例えば先ほど申し上げました通り、もし香港政府がですね、福島に来て原発を視察をしたいということであればですね、日本政府としてはこれを歓迎するということでありますし、原発に来て見ていただければですね、日本政府がどれほどきちんとしたですね、仕事をして信頼できる体制がそこに存在しているかということを香港政府にも十分認識いただけるというふうに考えております。
And other than that, what can we do? As I said before, if the Hong Kong government wishes to send somebody to visit the Fukushima Daiichi, we welcome that. And I think that if the people will come to see the Fukushima Daiichi in person, they will understand that we are doing really a proper and appropriate work there, and that it is worth your trust, and so that is our recognition.
世の中では百聞は一見にしかずと Seeing is believing ということですので、ぜひ香港政府にもし福島に来ていただければ我々は歓迎をしたいと思います。
The proverb says, "Seeing is believing." So we would definitely like the Hong Kong government to come to Fukushima Daiichi. We welcome you.
じゃあ、この質問についてお答えをします。
I will answer the second question.
で、8月のですね、輸入実績を、輸出実績を見ますと、品目別でいうと、例えば、香港向けに輸出が多かったナマコですね。これ、宮城県なんですけども、英語で新旧株が、2割以上輸出額が減となっています。
when we look at the actual export to Hong Kong in August, the sea cucumber, which occupied a lot in our exports to Hong Kong, dropped by more than 20%.
で、香港系のですね、ナマコの主要な産地が首都圏にありますので、9月以降さらに深刻な影響があるのではないかと心配しています。
And the sea cucumber producing prefectures, we have more than 10 prefectures, and so I think there will be a serious impact after September.
でですね、中国向けの水産物についても、9月はですね、全面的なですね、輸入停止措置の影響がですね、フルに出てくるということになりますので、これも深刻な状況になるのではないかと考えています。
And as for maritime products to be exported to China, actually China has implemented total ban of imports, and so from September we will see a very serious effect.
以上になります。
That's all. Thank you.
一点だけ確認ですけれども、未知の審議官おっしゃった10都県というのは、ナマコの主要な生産地が香港政府が輸出禁止を課している10都県の中にたくさんあるという趣旨でしたでしょうか。
そうですね。はい。
One thing to confirm, you mentioned 10 prefectures, so those are the major producing prefectures of sea cucumber exported to Hong Kong, and they will face serious impact. Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Please.
Just one more follow-up questions from Hong Kong Civil One. Has the Hong Kong government agreed to make concessions under specific conditions between the discussion of two sides? Thank you.
Excuse me, can you speak a little far from the microphone because it's very difficult to hear?
Okay. So has the Hong Kong government agreed to make concessions under specific conditions in the discussion between two sides?
はい。香港側は日本側との話し合いの中で、何らかの条件があれば具体的な条件の下では。
はい、ご質問ありがとうございます。
Thank you for the question.
香港政府とはこれまでも緊密にいろんなやり取りをしておりますけれども、ご質問の点についてはですね、外交上のやり取りになるということですので、この場ではご説明できないということについてご理解いただければと思います。
Yes, we have been in touch with the Hong Kong government. However, your question relates to diplomatic matter, so I hope you will understand that we cannot answer your question